The alien gym was always loud, metal clashed against metal, heavy weights slammed on the ground and shouts of victory echoed across the high walls. Young warriors of different species trained there every day, showing their strength, testing their limits, laughing as they competed against each other. To them, strength was everything, and in their eyes, humans had none. On this day, the air buzzed with more arrogance than usual. A tall, scaled alien lifted a huge bar over his head. His friends cheered, their voices like thunder. Others flexed their arms, showing off, mocking one another. In one corner, a few whispered and laughed about humans. Weak bones, fragile skin, no claws, no fangs, one said with a sneer. Why do they even try to train with us? Another added. The laughter rolled through the gym, casual and cruel. Then the gym doors opened with a slow hiss. A small figure stepped inside. It was a human girl, young, slender, her frame far smaller than the towering aliens. She wore a simple training outfit, her dark hair tied back, her face calm, no fear, no arrogance, just quiet focus. But the moment the crowd saw her, laughter returned, sharper now. Look, the human child is here, someone jeered. Careful, she might break if she touches the weights, another shouted. The gym roared with cruel amusement. To them, her presence was nothing but a joke. Yet she walked forward, step by step, ignoring every voice. Her eyes scanned the hall, the machines, the weights stacked like mountains. She did not flinch. Instead, she tied her hair tighter, her hands steady. Her silence only made the aliens mock louder. Do you think you belong here, little human? The scaled champion said, stepping in her path. His shadow fell over her, his height more than double hers. This place is for warriors, not fragile creatures like you. The girl looked up at him. She said nothing. Obo. Lee blinked once, her face still calm. Then she stepped aside and walked past him. This simple act of ignoring his taunt sparked anger. The champion's friends howled with laughter. She does not even speak. Maybe she cannot. Maybe she is too weak to use words. The girl walked straight to the row of weights. Some of them were so massive that even alien warriors struggled with both arms. She stood before the heaviest one. A quiet murmur spread across the gym. She cannot be serious. Maybe she will try and faint. This will be funny. But she did not hesitate. She placed one hand on the cold steel, her grip firm. Her other hand remained behind her back. The aliens leaned closer. Some crouched, all waiting for the moment of failure. The champion folded his arms, smirking. Go ahead, little human. Show us your strength, he said. The girl inhaled slowly. Her eyes closed for a brief second. Inside her chest, her heart beat steady. She remembered the words her father once told her during training on Earth. Strength is not about size. It is about will. When your will does not break, no weight in the galaxy can crush you. Her fingers tightened. Her arm tensed. The steel bar shook as she began to pull. At first nothing happened, and laughter exploded. She cannot even move it. I knew it, humans are weak. But then, the impossible happened. The bar shifted, only slightly. But it rose. The laughter cut short, replaced by stunned silence, inch by inch. The weight left the ground. Her face did not twist, her body did not tremble. She stood firm, steady, her single arm raising the massive weight higher. Gasps spread through the crowd, eyes widened, jaws dropped. No one could believe what they were seeing. This was not possible for a human, yet here she was, silent, calm, her one hand holding a weight that 3 alien warriors together could barely lift. The champion's soipohishes. Merc vanished, replaced with disbelief. He took a step forward, as if to confirm with his own eyes, but the girl did not look at him. She only raised the weight higher. Then, with perfect control, she held it above her head, her arms straight, unshaken. The entire gym froze, their voices gone, their arrogance silenced. For a long moment, the hall was quiet. The only sound was the hum of the lights above. Then slowly, the girl lowered the weight back down, not with a crash, not with struggle, but with grace. She set it gently on the floor, stood tall, and looked at the crowd. Her calm eyes swept over every alien who had mocked her. She did not shout, she did not smile, she only whispered 4 words, her voice soft but clear. Never mistake silence for weakness. The words struck harder than the weight itself. The gym remained frozen, no laughter, no mocking. For the first time they looked at a human not with pity, but with shock. And in their silence, the human girl stood stronger than any roar. The silence in the gym felt heavy. Aliens who had mocked moments ago now stared at the human girl with wide eyes. Some rubbed their eyes as if they had imagined it. Others whispered to each other nervously. A few even stepped back, uncertain. What they had just seen shattered everything they believed. The scaled champion's chest burned with anger. He had been the strongest here for years, respected and feared, yet in a single moment, a human girl had stolen all eyes away from him. His pride screamed for revenge. He stepped forward, his claws scraping the floor, his deep voice rumbling. "That was a trick, human. You dare shame me in front of my people." The girl looked at him with the same calm eyes. She did not answer. She did not bow. She only stood straight. Her silence made his anger worse. "Fine," he growled, pointing at the largest weight carved from dense star metal. "Lift that, with one hand again, if you truly are strong. Prove it now." Gasps spread across the gym. That weight was different. It was known as the Galaxy Stone. It had been forged as a test piece for warriors of 3 worlds. Only once had it been lifted, and that too by 4 aliens together. To demand one human girl to lift it alone was madness, but the crowd cheered for it, half in excitement, half in desperation to see her fail. The girl walked slowly to the Galaxy Stone. Her steps did not shake. Her eyes never lowered. Every alien's breath held as she placed her hand upon the cold surface. The champion crossed his arms, sneering, "Show them your weakness, little human. End this foolishness." The girl inhaled, her grip steady. The gym trembled as silence pressed in. She pulled. The stone shifted, only slightly, but it moved. Gasps filled the hall. Whispers broke into shouts. She moved it. Impossible. No human can do this. Her arm shook under the impossible weight, but her eyes did not waver. Every muscle in her body tensed, her breath steady like the rhythm of a drum. Inch by inch, the Galaxy Stone rose. The crowd leaned forward in disbelief, their hearts pounding as the stone left the ground fully. Her one arm raised it higher, higher, until it was above her shoulder. Sweat ran down her brow, but her gaze was sharp, unbroken. For a heartbeat, time itself seemed to stop. The Galaxy Stone was in the air, held by the smallest warrior in the gym. Aliens who once mocked her now stood silent, their faces pale. The champion's sneer fell away, replaced by shock. He stumbled a step forward, eyes wide, unable to believe. The girl lowered the stone carefully. She placed it on the floor without letting it crash. Her hand slid free and she turned to the crowd. Once again, silence ruled. Then her voice, soft but cutting, broke the air. "Strength is not muscle. It is will." The words echoed in their minds. They were more than words. They were truth. Aliens glanced at one another, some ashamed, some fearful, some in awe. But the CE, Hampion could not allow this. His pride roared louder than his reason. He bared his fangs and shouted, "Enough games, human. If you are strong, prove it in combat." The crowd erupted. A fight, a duel. This was what they wanted, a test of true strength. Not just lifting metal, they chanted, stomping their feet, voices thunderous. The gym became an arena, the lights glaring down. Everyone waited, breathless. Would the girl accept, or would she walk away? The girl did not hesitate. She stepped forward, her calm eyes never leaving the champions. The quiet in her voice struck deeper than a shout. "I will not fight for pride, but I will not step back," the champion roared, throwing his arms wide. "Then prepare yourself, little human, for today you face the storm of my people." His friends shouted in support, beating the walls, their voices echoing. The gym shook with the sound, but in the center of the chaos, the human girl stood still. Her calm silence was stronger than the roar of 100 warriors. The fight was not yet begun, but already the balance of power had shifted. No longer was she the weak outsider mocked for her human blood. Now she was something else, something greater, a symbol that unsettled every alien watching. For if one human girl could do this, what strength might all of humanity be hiding? The gym turned into an arena. Aliens pressed close, their eyes glowing with hunger for the fight. The walls shook with chants, the sound of claws beating against metal. All of them wanted to see the human girl broken, defeated, proved weak once more. But under the lights, she stood calm, her chest rising and falling slowly. Her silence was louder than the crowd. The scaled champion stepped into the center. His body was massive, his claws sharp, his tail slashing the floor. His people had named him Iron Fang, the unbroken. He had never lost in this gym, never been humbled. His pride and his fury burned like fire. "Come, little human," he growled. "Let us end this farce." The girl walked forward, each step steady, no tremor, no fear. Her eyes met his, unshaken. The crowd laughed again, trying to comfort themselves. She will last a second. Iron Fang will crush her. But deep inside, unease twisted their voices. A bell rang, sharp and cold. The duel began. Iron Fang charged first, his claws cutting through the air. His roar rattled the walls, his speed shocking for his size. He swung at her head, a blow meant to end it instantly, but she bent low, her movement smooth as flowing water. His claws cut only air. Gasps filled the hall. Before he could recover, she stepped in close, her small hand pressed against his chest. She did not strike with power, but with precision. Her push made him stumble backward. The crowd howled in disbelief. Their champion had been moved by a single touch. Iron Fang roared in shame. He struck again, tail whipping, claws flashing, but every attack met only air. The girl flowed around him, her steps light, her eyes calm. To the crowd it looked unreal. The human girl was not fighting like a brute. She was reading him. Every motion, every breath, her reflexes were faster than his rage. Sweat poured down his scales as his strikes grew wild. Anger blinded him. His roars turned desperate. The girl waited, silent, until his fury left an opening. Then, with one hand she caught his wrist mid-strike. The gym froze. She twisted, and with shocking ease brought the mighty Iron Fang crashing to his knees. Silence spread, broken only by his grunt of pain. Aliens stared with wide eyes, unable to believe what they saw. Their strongest, forced down by a human girl. Iron Fang tried to rise, but her grip held him like iron. She did not strike. She did not humiliate. She simply controlled, her strength calm, precise, undeniable. "Stop fighting me," she whispered, her voice quiet yet sharp. "You are not my enemy." Her words echoed, cutting through the roar that had died in every throat. The crow that had come for blood now felt something else. Respect, confusion, and fear mixed together. Iron Fang roared again, desperate to break free. But the harder he fought, the more hopeless it became. Her grip did not falter. Her calm did not break. With one smooth motion, she released him. Stepping back, he staggered, breathing hard, shame burning in his eyes, but she stood tall, silent, her strength shining without cruelty. The gym was no longer a place of laughter. It was a place of awakening. The aliens who once mocked humans now looked at her differently. They whispered, "What if all humans are like her? What power do they hide?" From the shadows above, unseen by the fighters, figures watched, council observers, cloaked and silent, their eyes cold and calculating. They had come to watch a simple training duel, but now they leaned forward, whispering to each other, "This human is dangerous. If one girl can do this, humanity itself may be a threat." The duel was ended, but the true battle had just begun. For strength is not only in the body, it is in the meaning others see. And in that moment, the human girl was no longer just a student in the gym. She was a message, a spark, a warning. Her silence had shaken more than one warrior. It had shaken the galaxy itself. The gym was no longer loud. The echoes of Iron Fang's roars had faded, replaced by a silence so deep it pressed against every chest. The crowd that once shouted insults now stared, wide-eyed, struggling to accept what they had seen. A single human girl had lifted the impossible. A single human girl had forced their champion to his knees, and she had done it without anger, without cruelty, only calm strength. Iron Fang lay on one knee, his body trembling, his pride cracked, his eyes filled with confusion more than rage. For the first time in his life, he felt small. He had fought beasts twice his size, had crushed warriors from other worlds, but this human girl, small as a child, had defeated him with grace. She had given him no wound, yet she had broken something deeper inside him. The crowd whispered in hushed voices, "Is this truly human strength? Have we been blind all this time? If one girl is like this, what of the rest?" Their words carried fear, wonder, and disbelief. None dared to laugh anymore. None dared to call humans weak. The girl stood silently, her breathing steady. She looked at no one. She asked for no applause. She simply tied her hair again, as if what she had done was nothing. That calm unsettled them even more. For warriors who showed off, strength was pride. But for her, Strength was silence. In the shadows above the gym, the council observers remained hidden. Their cloaks shimmered faintly. Their eyes gleamed coldly. They had watched the duel without blinking. One of them spoke in a low voice. "She is dangerous." Another shook his head. "Not dangerous alone, but what she represents," a third whispered. "If humanity has more like her, the balance of power may shift." Their words carried weight heavier than the galaxy stone itself, for the council ruled hundreds of worlds, and in their records, humanity was considered weak, fragile, harmless. But this girl was a crack in that belief, a small crack that could grow into a storm. Down in the gym, Iron Fang pushed himself to his feet. His chest rose and fell with ragged breaths. The crowd waited for his fury, for him to attack again, but he did not. His eyes met the girl's, and for the first time he lowered his head. It was not surrender to her strength, but recognition. "You fight with more than muscle," he muttered, his voice rough. "You fight with something I do not understand." The girl said nothing, only looked at him once. Her silence was answer enough. The crowd stirred, whispers spreading like fire. Respect began to replace mockery. Fear began to replace laughter. And in that moment, the legend of the human girl was born. Ooh, yet legends are never safe. The council observers left quietly, their cloaks melting into the shadows, but their message would travel far. Already one of them spoke into a hidden calm. "Send word to the council, the humans are not what we believed." His voice was cold, filled with calculation. "This changes everything." Back in the gym, trainers and teachers arrived, drawn by the noise. They demanded answers. They examined the galaxy stone. Their scanners confirmed the truth. No trick, no hidden device. The weight had been lifted by her hand alone. Their faces turned pale, their minds racing. What did this mean for the academy, for the council, for the galaxy itself? The girl stepped away from the crowd, walking toward the exit. No one blocked her path. No one dared to laugh or call her weak now. They parted for her like water before a stone, and as she left, her words still hung in the air, words simple yet sharp. "Never mistake silence for weakness." Outside the gym, the night sky spread wide. Stars glimmered like watching eyes. She stood alone under their light, her heart steady, her mind calm. She knew whispers would spread. She knew eyes were already upon her, but she also knew one truth. This was only the beginning. And in the silence after the storm, the galaxy itself had begun to tremble. The academy did not sleep that night. Whispers spread through every corridor, every training hall, every dorm. Aliens who once mocked humans now sat in silence, remembering the sight of the girl lifting the galaxy stone. Some tried to laugh it away, but their voices cracked. Others denied what they had seen, but their eyes betrayed fear. The truth had been planted in their minds, and it grew with every heartbeat. In her small human quarters, the girl sat alone, her hands rested on her knees, her eyes closed. The room was quiet, the shadows deep, but her thoughts carried her far away, back to Earth. Back to the dusty yard where she first learned what strength truly meant. She remembered her father, a man with calloused hands and weary eyes. He was not a soldier, not a warrior of fame, only a worker who lifted stones to build. Yet in his silence there was a strength that never broke. He used to say, "Our bodies may be small, but our spirits carry mountains. Strength is not measured by what you hold in your hands. It is measured by what you refuse to let go of in your heart." As a child, she struggled, lifting broken wood, training in secret. Other children laughed at her, just as the aliens laughed today. But her father's voice always echoed inside her. "Do not fight to prove them wrong. Fight to prove yourself right." Those words became her anchor, her weapon, her shield. Back in the academy gym, the council had sent investigators. Machines scanned the galaxy stone again. Their readings confirmed what everyone already knew. No trick, no machine, no cheat. The girl's strength was real. The report would be sent to the council chambers by dawn. But already rumors had flown faster than ships. Worlds would soon hear of the human girl who shattered their pride. The scaled champion Iron Fang sat alone in the shadows of the gym, his claws clenched, his pride wounded. But in his chest, something new burned. Not hatred, not shame, but respect, he whispered to himself. "I fought her with muscle. She fought me with will, and her will was stronger than my claws." For the first time, he wondered if the humans were not weak at all, but something far more dangerous. The girl rose from her bed and looked into the mirror. Her reflection stared back, tired yet unbroken. She did not see victory. She did not see pride. She only saw a reminder. Every alien in that gym had been wrong, but her fight was not against them. Her fight was against the belief that humans were fragile, and that fight was far from over, beyond the academy. In the chambers of the Galactic Council, the whispers had already begun. Leaders of many species gathered in secret, their voices sharp, filled with unease. One human girl should not worry us, yet she does. If humans rise with such strength, our rule may crumble. We must control them before their fire spreads. But among the voices of fear, one elder spoke softly. Or perhaps we must respect them, for they have shown us a strength we do not understand. The debate raged, suspicion growing, plans began to form. Some whispered of containment, others of alliances, but no one could ignore the truth. The galaxy had been shaken, and humanity was no longer invisible. Meanwhile, the girl stood outside under the stars again. She looked at the endless sky, at the worlds she had never seen. Her heart felt heavy yet strong. She remembered her father's final words before she left Earth. You will carry the weight of more than iron. You will carry the weight of our people's name. Do not let them tell you who we are. Show them. The stars above glittered as if listening. She clenched her fist gently, not with anger but with resolve. Tonight was not victory. Tonight was only the beginning. She had revealed a glimpse of human strength, but she knew the galaxy would not stay silent. They would fear. They would resist. They would test her again, and when they did, she would be ready. In the quiet darkness, her eyes burned with calm fire, because true strength was not in her muscles. True strength was in her will, and that will was unbreakable. The council chamber was cold and vast. Shadows stretched across walls carved with symbols of ancient power. Elders of many species gathered in silence, their eyes glowing like distant stars. In the center, the image of the human girl shimmered in light. She was lifting the galaxy stone, holding it above her head with one hand. Every elder watched. None spoke at first. The silence was heavy with fear and calculation. Finally, one elder broke it. This cannot be ignored, he said, his voice deep and slow. A human should not have such power, yet she does, another hissed. If one girl can do this, and if there are thousands, imagine if there are armies. Others murmured, shifting in unease. Some wanted control, some wanted alliance, but most wanted one thing, answers. Test her, said the eldest, his eyes narrowing. Let her strength be measured again, not with stone, not with a duel, but with danger. If she is weak, the myth ends. If she is strong, then we know the truth. The council agreed, their decision sealed. Back in the academy, the girl walked through the halls. Everywhere she went, eyes followed her, whispers carried behind her steps. Some eyes were filled with respect, others with quiet fear. Iron Fang himself now bowed his head slightly when she passed. His pride had turned into grudging honor, but not all accepted her. Jealous voices whispered, she will be broken soon. The council will test her. That night the summons arrived, a message glowing on her door. She was called to the proving grounds, a place where warriors were tested in trials that broke even the strongest. She read the message, her face calm. She did not hesitate. She did not fear. She only whispered, so it begins. The proving grounds were an arena larger than the gym. Walls rose high. Lights burned bright. The air thick with the scent of metal and dust. Thousands of aliens filled the seats, shouting, chanting, waiting to see the human fail. But among them were also silent watchers, council envoys hidden in shadows. The trial would not just test her, it would decide humanity's place in the galaxy. She stepped into the center, her frame small beneath the lights, yet her calm made her seem larger than the space itself. Her eyes scanned the arena, not with fear, but with sharp focus. A voice boomed across the ground. Human, your strength is questioned, your will is doubted. Prove yourself against the beast of the void. The gates groaned, chains rattled from the darkness bay. On came a roar that shook the walls. The beast of the void stepped forward, a creature of claws and fangs, its body massive, its eyes burning red. It had been captured from the edges of the galaxy, a monster that had torn through armies. Aliens leaned forward in their seats, eager to see her crushed. This is the end of the human myth, they whispered, but the girl stood steady, her hands clenched at her sides, her heart calm. Inside her mind, she remembered her father's words. When the weight is greater than your body, let your will carry it. When the storm is louder than your voice, let your silence break it. The beast charged, its roar like thunder, claws slashed, jaws snapped, dust exploded into the air. But the girl moved, light as wind, fast as lightning. The monster's strike missed, tearing the floor instead. The crowd gasped, their cheers dying into shock. She leapt onto its back, her hands gripping tight. The creature bucked and roared, but her will did not break. With one hand she pulled, twisting its massive arm. The beast howled, staggering to its knees. Aliens shouted in disbelief. Impossible, she cannot hold it. But she did, her calm eyes locked on her enemy. With a final motion, she forced the monster down. Its body crashed to the ground, dust rising like a storm, and in the silence that followed, she stood tall, her hand pressed firmly against the beast's neck. She did not kill it. She did not roar in victory. She only whispered, "Strength without control is nothing." The arena froze. Council envoys exchanged sharp glances. The whispers grew heavier. Respect, fear, wonder. Emotions collided in the hearts of thousands. For the human girl had not only survived, she had triumphed. And she had done it with the same calm silence that unsettled them more than any roar. In that moment, the question spread across the galaxy. Should humanity be respected, or should humanity be feared? And the answer was no longer simple. The proving grounds did not echo with cheers, they echoed with silence, the key. And of silence that comes when the world witnesses something it cannot explain. A human girl stood over the beast of the void, calm, unbroken, her hand resting lightly as if the monster were no more dangerous than a stone. Her voice had whispered, "Strength without control is nothing." And those words carried through the air like a storm. Aliens who had come to laugh sat frozen, their mouths open but their voices gone. Others who had wanted blood now lowered their eyes, ashamed. The council envoys in the shadows leaned close, their faces pale. They had expected her to fail. They had expected her to break. But she had done the impossible twice. And worse, she had done it without rage, without pride, only silence. By dawn, the story spread beyond the academy. Ships carried whispers to other worlds. News screens replayed the image of the human girl holding the beast down. Crowds across distant planets stared in disbelief. Some laughed nervously, others shivered, and on every world the question rose. If one human girl can do this, what can all humans do? In the academy halls, the students no longer mocked her. They moved aside when she walked, their voices hushed. Iron Fang himself came to her door. The same warrior who once laughed now lowered his head, his voice rough but honest. "I do not understand you, human, but I will not call you weak again." She only nodded, her eyes calm, her silence stronger than any answer. Far away, in the council chamber, the elders argued. Fear twisted their words. "Humanity must be controlled," one shouted. "They must be tested again," another hissed. "If we cannot control them, we must prepare for war." But among them, a quiet voice rose, an elder older than the rest, his eyes weary yet wise. "Perhaps it is not war they bring, but balance. Perhaps we have mistaken silence for weakness. Perhaps what we saw was not a threat, but a reminder of what true strength is." The chamber fell quiet, torn between fear and respect. For the first time in centuries, the council could not agree. Humanity had unsettled their certainty, and a girl with no crown, no army, had done it alone, back on Earth. Her name had already reached. Families gathered around old screens, listening in awe. Children whispered her story, wide-eyed. Fathers and mothers straightened their backs with quiet pride. "They thought we were weak," they said, "but now they know." The girl herself did not seek glory. She stood under the night sky of the academy, her eyes on the stars. Each star was a world. Each world now whispering her name, but in her heart, she heard only her father's voice. Strength is not what you hold, it is what you carry. And she knew she now carried the weight of all humanity. Ships moved in the darkness of space. Messages crossed galaxies. Some worlds prepared to welcome humans with respect. Others sharpened their weapons in fear, but none could ignore the truth anymore. The age of dismissing humanity as fragile was over, and so the legend began. A single girl, mocked as weak, who lifted a galaxy stone with one hand, a single girl, who forced the mightiest champion to his knees, a single girl, who tamed a beast of the void without cruelty. Her story spread like fire through every star system. Her silence had become a roar across the galaxy. In the end, she stood alone on the academy walls, her eyes sharp, her heart steady. She knew storms would come, trials greater than beasts or stones. But she also knew that she had shown the truth, and that truth could not be buried again in a galaxy of giants. It was the quiet human girl who reminded them all. True strength does not need noise. True strength does not need fear. True strength is silence that cannot be broken. And from that silence, humanity's legend had begun.